my case for why I believe every Orthodox Christian ought to vote for President Trump. And that, of course, has to do with the life issue. I could make a defense on many other policies and successes of this administration, but we're going to stick to life because that's what I'm about. That's what this podcast is about. And that's the most foundational, fundamental right. So I want you to consider this analogy, okay? This is an analogy that my boss at Life Training Institute and mentor Scott Klusendorf has used to sort of winsomely communicate why it's unacceptable for those who say they're pro-life and Christian to vote for a party or a politician running for president like Joe Biden, why it would be wrong to vote for them given their position on abortion. So consider this analogy as it pertains to Christian civic duty to vote. He says, you are walking down the street and you walk by a daycare center that is on fire. There are two men who have also just strolled up to the location. One is loud and brash and well known for speaking his mind in ways that are not always kind and are frequently obnoxious. He wants to run in with you to help rescue as many children as can be saved. The other is more pleasant to people in a superficial way, more likable, and he never tweets mean things. He refuses to help save the children and has a can of gasoline he intends to throw into the building. Who is the better man? Who deserves some level of respect and deserves your vote? Now, this is a legitimate comparison, right? It really is, because one administration and politician is going to almost quite literally, okay, figuratively though, throw gasoline onto the abortion industry. Because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have told us what they would do with political power. And we've covered this in my talks recently and in previous podcast episodes on Kamala and on Joe, that they will overturn the Hyde Amendment, which keeps federal dollars from funding abortion through Medicaid reimbursements and is responsible for saving over 2 million babies since it was instituted. They will codify Roe v. Wade into federal law so states can't pass pro-life laws. They'll institute pre-clearance guidelines so that they'll sit in the Oval Office and look at pro-life laws coming out of pro-life states and say, let me read this. Not denied because it's not pre-cleared by our administration. So that destroys federalism and the entire constitutional republic that puts power into the hands of the people and local governance. They will also make DC a state and add 2 more Democratic senators and probably a permanent majority in the Senate. They will overturn the filibuster to keep those pesky pro-life Republicans from blocking them from passing radical abortion legislation, okay? And they'll increase the tax funding to Planned Parenthood by the millions. Let me translate that all for you. That's gasoline on the fire of the abortion industry, okay? And millions of more children will be killed and rounded up for slaughter like any other time in American history. The Kamala Harris-Joe Biden political ticket is to the unborn child what Hitler was to the Jews, and they will be killed like no other time in American history. So I think this is really a legitimate comparison. And those who say otherwise simply don't believe the unborn child to be fully human, right? Fully persons with equal rights, because if they did, they would support the same political solutions to protect the unborn as they would to protect children in a burning daycare location. Or imagine if this more pleasant person who's about to throw gasoline on the fire of the burning daycare actually is promising to also legalize burning down daycares. Obviously, that would be unacceptable. So these people are not possessed, as Hadley Ark says, of a lively sense that there are real human beings getting killed in these surgeries. The better man would obviously be the person who's brash, loud, and tweets mean things, but is ready to run into the daycare to rescue children. And politically speaking, that is President Trump, because he's the most pro-life president in American history, more policies to protect the unborn than any other president in American history, even more so than Reagan, and certainly more so than George W. Bush, who regularly fell far short of what he should have been doing for the preborn.